Here's the manual, the original manual, which is, again, totally awesome. We'll see where we start. And we actually kind of start with the rear axle. It's funny, this Allen wrench is for nut wrench. Actually, I think the Tamtech kit came with that. I think it does have that in there. So you're supposed to put the wheel on first, which I kind of gathered due to spacing. So we're going to put one of the rear rims on first. Wheel basket. We will get some grease. So I've got this is Super Lube, which is essentially kind of what they use with the Tamiya kits. So it doesn't call for grease on this, so we're starting right here. Doesn't look like it really calls for grease. Oh yeah, it does. Actually, it does call for grease. How about that? So we're just going to put a little layer over the entire shaft. So we've got a washer, and we've got the wheel nut. Put that on there, and then we're going to tighten that up. I'm actually going to see if I can get that wrench out of that kit just to, and I put that away, but we'll be right back. Well, I kind of lied. Actually, I had this from the original kit. It's in some of those baggies. So that's pretty cool. We're going to take our pliers, the non-marring side, and just tighten that up. Can't believe this still had that in that kit. That is very, very cool. Then the next thing is one of the gears. So this larger gear, I've actually got this on a little backwards. This should go this way. There we go. And this gear, you can see, fits inside of here. We're going to throw some grease on this as well. We're actually going to put a decent amount. I should probably get a brush. And that's probably too much, but hey, we're good with that. Next, here's our spur gear. And then we will grease the gears also. Boy, that printer is just going to town. There we go. And we're going to smash some grease in here as well. That's a lot. And we'll come back, actually run these together, and then get that going a little further. We're going to slide. In the manual it says to allow a little bit of play in here so the gears mesh. Makes sense. We're not going to allow too much. So in the book, basically it's saying you want a little bit of play here to allow smooth operation. Okay, that's not very smooth. So that's too tight. So what I'm doing, actually it doesn't feel bad now. I still think it's a little tight. So I'm just gonna unscrew this little set screw and just kind of pull it up on it a little bit as it's probably too much, but no, that actually feels solid there. It's crazy how they don't use bearings, or they didn't use bearings back in the day. Okay, so this section is complete for now. We're going to set that off to the side. And what do we have next? So the next thing we have is actually the rear end suspension and the cradle. So I'm going to thread these on. And I'll bare you the board on that. I'm going to thread these on, and then I'm going to look for this other nut. That bothers me. I don't want to be missing something already. So we will be right back. Okay, we have located it. That's all that matters. So we've got these three in. We've got to tighten them up. So the screw and the nut go on first. There we go. This actually goes on. Then these metal spacers go like such. And the big washers go on. Then the springs. And then the small washer and the nut. We gotta deal with the front half of it as well. We're actually gonna take our socket. It's a 6mm, and radical clearance doesn't tell you how much. Oh yeah, it does. Do it by eye. Let's adjust these later. We're just gonna get kind of about what it looks like in the manual. It doesn't tell you an exact measurement. This piece should be separated, but it did not work out that way. It's stuck in here. Let me see if I can get it out. Oh, there it goes. So this is like this is a piece of rubber that is still very pliable. That's hilarious. And then another spacer. Flip it around this way and grease the shaft, which we've already done, but we're going to throw a little bit more on there. There we go. One of these is smaller than the other. So the larger one goes on first. So again, this one doesn't give you any distance specs, just tells you to attach it so it rotates smoothly. All right, let's put this all the way out. There's a space there now. Yeah, that's good. That's perfect. Then we've got what appears to be another spacer. Well, not appears, definitely. We have this spacer goes, and then we're supposed to have a plastic part here, which I don't think I ever had. I lost this plastic spacer, so I put my extra parts in another one of these little tubs, and I about lost my mind. So there's the spacer. Wish I would have known this was, I should have looked at the manual. Wish I would have known that was in the box. I used that to tear it down. Oh yeah, that's smooth. Smooth as it's gonna get. The tray, we're gonna work on the front end next. So right here, we've got all of our front end parts right here. We're going to put the first one together, which is one of these long screws. We've got our little brass block, which goes this way. We've got a nut. And we could use our handy dandy little wrench. There we go. So one of them goes that way. The other one is pretty much the exact opposite. And then we've got to put this bushing in, which takes a little bit of grease. Which I'll probably put a lot of grease on there. And I'm sure this kit was maybe greased when it was put together new, but it hasn't been greased in what, nearly 40, well, 40, almost 50 years. That's the wrong bushing. It's these smaller ones. So one goes under there. Then we've got our front end plate, which is right here. And again, we're going to flip this because I believe, yeah, we'll hide we'll hide those scratches, which again, I may have caused some of those. Probably more than likely did. Yep, that's correct. So on this side, it would get this one, which actually gets one of these screws through the top right here. I know I'm not probably showing much of this. No washer, just a nut. All right, we've got the front end here. And we could put our rod in. And actually, I should have put this rod in before I put this side on. So we're going to have to redo this. It's actually kind of neat putting this together like I would if I had the kit new, since I do have the instructions. So there's the front section. Boy, that's got a lot of toe in. Holy smokes. Yeah, we may... See, this hole is a little bit bigger. Like somebody probably did it that way, when in all actuality you can just bend this back a smidge, get rid of some of that toe. Next thing that goes on is this bushing, and then some grease. Then we've got this brass sleeve. Do the same thing over here. And then we'll actually put the front rims on. Washer, and then a nut. Just to keep this all together. And also to take a look at that massive amount of toe in. I don't remember if it had that much on it when I took it apart or not. And I may actually have, these are not, it doesn't matter which way these go. They're both identical, but I wonder if it was the other way before. I mean, it's not as bad once you've got the wheels on. Very simple steering mechanism. And there's actually some lines, some reference lines there. I suppose that's what you're supposed to use. Doesn't say in the manual. And I can also see the old markings. And put a washer, a locking washer, and then a nut on. And we're not going to tighten this down all the way yet. I suppose you could adjust the wheelbase, and that might be a thing, because I think maybe one other kit used the same or similar. I know it wasn't the Lamborghini. That was different. I was just actually bidding on one of those. Well, I wasn't bidding. I was thinking about buying one, but I didn't. So we've got the basic makeup here, which is very basic. So we've only got, we do have this. We need to put that in. I believe I may have skipped that. That goes back here. That's a brace, or maybe that goes in after the motor. All this is a brace. I mean, I don't think this little 380 motor is going to put up a whole lot of torque to really need all this, but and we've essentially, this is all the hardware we have left. It's little tiny, and that's basically for these sides. We do have our pinion, which I forgot to take out. There's our pinion. And then we can get, once we get all this together, we can start work on the electronics. Oh wow, something that actually uses a Phillips. Everything else has been flathead. Okay, the battery died and it got a little late, so we're at the next morning here. I did want to show you, here is the Tamtech version of this, which is an exact copy. Also, what's hilarious is with Tamtech, you'll see this piece right here. That is this piece. So, essentially the same trees. And it actually doesn't say anything about Tamtech, just says, this is hilarious, Tamiya 1976. So that is right on. This is directly from the Tamtech kit. So they still made these at some point. Wish they still made more of them because there are a few parts. Here's the antenna portion for the static kit. And of course all the grills and everything. So I have even more spare parts. Windshield wiper, the original kit actually doesn't have the windshield wiper installed, but it is in the bag. I don't have the remnants of the tree from that original one, but pretty interesting. This is also goes in the static body. So these kits share a lot of the same pieces, and like we mentioned, we mainly bought the Tamtech kit for the guy, but bought a guy for $125 and got a free RC kit. We'll look at it that way. So we'll set that aside and continue on. So the next order of business would be the side mounts, and according to the kit, it looks like we mount them all the way out. Now whether that's true or not, I don't know. I've already got the screws kind of separated here, and we've got a screw, we've got a washer. I'll grab two washers. And then we've got these go underneath. Seems like it would make more sense to put them on top. But and then we have another washer, a lock washer, and then we've got the nut. And we're going to get these all buttoned up. Printer is still going in the background. And we'll install all these. And again, they go kind of further all the way out according to the instructions like that. So we'll get the sides put on. get them all tightened up, and then we'll move on to the next step. We're almost done with the hardware portion of this. The next thing would be electronics, servo, you know, all that stuff. So we'll be back.